This was part 11 of A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. I would like to acknowledge that I am on the unceded territory of the Massachusetts, Pawtucket, Pocumtuck, and other indigenous nations that had occupied this land before it became what is now known as Lynn, Massachusetts. So the English set fire to the wigwams of the village by their own account. The captain also said, "We must burn them," and immediately stepping into the wigwam, brought out a firebrand, and putting it into mats with which they were covered, set the wigwams on fire. William Bradford, in his History of the Plymouth Plantation, written at the time, describes John Mason's raid on the Pequot village. "Those that escaped the fire were slain with the sword. Some hewed to pieces, others ruined through with their rapiers, so as they were quickly dispatched, and very few escaped. It was conceived they thus destroyed about 400 at this time. It was a fearful sight to see them thus frying in the fire, and the streams of blood quenching the same, and horrible was the stink and scent thereof. But the victory seemed a sweet sacrifice, and they gave the prayers thereof to God, who had wrought so wonderfully for them, thus to enclose their enemies in their hands, and give them so speedy a victory over so proud and insulting an enemy." As Dr. Cotton Mather, Puritan theologian, put it, it was supposed that no less than 600 Pequot souls were brought down to hell that day. The war continued. Indian tribes were used against one another and never seemed able to join together in fighting the English. Jennings sums up, "The terror was very real among the Indians, but in time they came to meditate upon its foundations. They drew 3 lessons from the Pequot War. 1, that the Englishman's most solemn pledge would be broken whenever obligation conflicted with advantage. 2, that the English way of war had no limit of scruple or mercy, and 3, that the weapons of Indian making were almost useless against weapons of European manufacture. These lessons the Indians took to heart." A footnote in Virgil Vogel's book, This Land Was Ours, 1972, says, "The official figure on the number of Pequots now in Connecticut is 21 persons. 40 years after the Pequot War, Puritans and Indians fought again. This time it was the Wampanoags, occupying the south shore of Massachusetts Bay, who were in the way and also beginning to trade some of their land to people outside the Massachusetts Bay colony. Their chief, Massasoit, was dead. His son Wamsutta had been killed by English men, and Wamsutta's brother Metacom, later to be called King Philip by the English, became chief. The English found their excuse, a murder which they attributed to Metacom, and they began a war of conquest against the Wampanoags, a war to take their land. They were clearly the aggressors, but claimed they attacked for preventive purposes. As Roger Williams, more friendly to the Indians than most, put it, "All men of conscience or prudence ply to windward to maintain their wars to be defensive." Okay, I'll end there, part 11, and continue with part 12. Have a good day.